I'm not mad at the Final Four. I think we anticipated Arizona to be there. It's good to see other teams, Michigan, Illinois, UConn that you didn't anticipate.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, Segment 1, NCAA Men's Final Four Preview. We're also going to talk about coaching, hiring in the family business, or should we go outside of the family? In Segment 2, the portal will be open soon, and we'll talk about that. And in Segment 3, we will catch fans up on the NBA and the WNBA. With us today, Captain for Life. Thank God he's here for me. Will Cotton is here. Our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson, is here. Our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, is here. And we also have, making his second voyage on the basketball show, Trey is here today. So let's get started. Will, I'm going to start with you. Any thoughts on the Final Four or how we got to the Final Four?
I'm not mad at the Final Four. I think we anticipated Arizona to be there. It's good to see other teams, Michigan, Illinois, UConn that you didn't anticipate. Unfortunately, I hate that UConn made it. It is what it is. But this is the parity, man. This is what we all paid for. This is so we don't see the same sort of blue bloods every time. So my standards, man. No team out west is gonna win, so we already know that
Arizona's looking good.
we know Arizona's not is out. I like, man. To be honest with you, there's a lot that you can do off a big win like that in UConn. A big win like that, man, especially against a good team like Duke, that do wonders for you moving forward. So, in my opinion, looking at the Final Four, man, I think Michigan is the winner. I think they're the best looking, but don't sleep on UConn. But give me Michigan.
All right, Robert, I'm coming to you, and I'm sorry we're not together at the Final Four because that's a load of fun people watching.
Yes, it was.
If
Yes,
you
it was.
if you could do anything in life one time, just watch a basketball game with Robert, and we would have the entire restaurant just joining in our conversation. Any thoughts about the Final Four, Robert?
I mean, Duke blew their opportunity. All they have to do, they got the ball in bounds. All you have to do is hold it. Just hold the ball. Just hold the ball. And they didn't. And UConn hit a shot, and it was not an easy shot. But hey, you know what? That's why you play the game. And it pains me that UConn won because I cannot stand Danny Hurley. As we have said on multiple occasions, more than one thing can be true at the same time. Can't stand him. His guys play for him, and he is a good coach. And the Final Four games are going to be really interesting. Arizona and Michigan. Holy cow, that is going to be a great game. I'm with Will though. I think Michigan in the end is the best team. I think Michigan should win. But there's no reason any of these four teams can't win two more games.
Yeah. Danny, we had a chance to watch the Illinois-Purdue game. No insides in Purdue, but bless their hearts. Any thoughts on the Final Four, sir?
I'm excited about the Final Four this year. It's gonna be different not seeing the traditional blue blood programs outside of the UConn. If you want to put them in that category. I'm with Will and Robert. I've watched Michigan this entire tournament. I'm like, there's no way you can't pick against them. They looked awesome today. It was just great basketball to watch. I'm just gonna say it just shows me I appreciate history so much. It reminds me of Houston and Louisville going at it before NC State took down Houston in the championship game in the '80s. Because I'm already saying. Possibly the winner of Arizona and Michigan is probably going to win the championship this year, because I think those two are the most talented, best teams in the tournament right now. Still, even when we were watching the game yesterday, I wanted to throw a glass at the TV screen for some of the basketball plays I saw, but it's good to see, differences in the Final Four this year outside of UConn, who's been going in and out of like the past three out of 4 years. So this will be interesting this weekend.
All right, so Trey, you don't have to go to all the NABC classes and get your certification anymore. That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Final Four as being the most recent NCAA coach in the club here?
Honestly, I think it's gonna be a great experience. I think it's gonna be very fun, very competitive, and being out, I've been to the Final Four those past couple of years. It's a very exciting time to be in, watching good basketball, just seeing a lot of people. But honestly, I think any game go either way. And I think all 4 teams are very good. Each team has very good coaching. Everybody has their own selective playing style. So I feel like it's going to go down to who wants it more at the end of the game. Who can turn the ball over less, who can make more shots. And hopefully it's Michigan. I
Now,
don't really know.
I do want to throw this at Robert. If Illinois wins and they play Michigan, they got tape on Michigan, and that's the Villanova-Georgetown thing. Because if Georgetown had played anybody else in 85, they'd have killed them. But Illinois is quite comfortable playing Michigan. So if Illinois can make it to the championship against Michigan, they got a chance to mess everything up. Any thoughts on my theory?
No, I agree with that because the more often you see people, the harder it is to play them. There are no more surprises. It's just when you get to that point, it's just about getting stops and making shots. And both of those teams are capable. I think Michigan is the best team, but again,
what they did against Tennessee was criminal.
Wouldn't shock me if any of the 4 win.
That was embarrassing.
Tennessee, oh my goodness, they had no idea. They had no idea what hit them.
Now, the funny thing, and Trey, I'm gonna give this to you, and I hope I don't give away too many trade secrets, fans. There's coaches that, let's just say, we're not worried if they go in the huddle. We're not worried if they call timeout. There's some coaches like Will's coach at St. John's. If they call timeout, I don't know what he gonna do. We just gonna go zone because that guy is just good. And then there's Tennessee's coach, where historically speaking, I have never been overly concerned. Trey, any thoughts on my assessment of Tennessee's coaching, historically speaking, of course?
Oh no, nothing against that. But I think Michigan just had their number. There was nothing that Tennessee could do. Everything Tennessee tried to do or wanted to do, Michigan had their way with them. So I feel like as a coach, sometimes you kind of just get caught up in the moment. Sometimes you just don't know what to do. And to be fair, some coaches may freeze up in those big time moments, and some coaches may adjust. Like Dan Hurley, I know you guys don't like Danny Hurley, but I'm a Jersey guy, so I got a lot of respect for him. I love him.
Two things can be true. He can coach, and he can stop yelling at officials and treating people like trash.
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that side of him is not really the best. I really like that side of him, but
you represent a state. Don't see, you got me going. You represent an entire state institution, and the state can't want to be represented that way. Wait, they're okay with it. Correct. So, all right, I'll digress. See, him got me off.
And just I know what you're saying about Tennessee, and I've never been a huge Rick Barnes fan, but I think today it was just a case of Michigan's X's were way bigger than Tennessee's O's.
Okay. All right, Danny, I'm gonna go to you with this one first. The family business. So North Carolina and Syracuse made some coaching changes, and they moved on from legacy head coaches. Hubert Davis is out, despite a 69.8% winning percentage and a national championship appearance in 2022. They fired him, and they lost their best player. Okay. Syracuse went away from Red Autry after a 5-year tournament drought, and it's no secret I followed Syracuse closely because my former player, Brendan Strong, was on the staff, and someone that competed against Will in high school a lot of times. Dan Engelstad was on that staff, and Dan competed at a neighboring college when I was at Hood College as well. But they hired Jerry McNamara, so they kept it in the family, and North Carolina's looking at Billy Donovan and 16 other people. And then you have situations like Duke, who kept it in the family, and it's worked out for the most part. Sorry about these last 2-year losses. George Mason kept it in the family with Tony Skinn. Patrick Ewing at Georgetown didn't work, and Thad Matta's return to Butler was a little less than pleasing. So I'm going to go around the panel, but I wanted to start with you, Danny, because you were at Mount St. Mary's, and they had a legacy coach in Coach Jim Phelan, and I'm not too old to dance. A close friend of mine, Riley Age, played for Jim Phelan along with Cliff Warren. So what are your thoughts on making coaching changes in 2026? Should we keep it in the family or not? What do you think, Dan?
I think it might be time to go away from keeping it in the model, keeping it within the family, because I mean, I'll use Mount St. Mary's for example. When Coach Phelan retired and it went to Milan Brown, who's on the staff up in Pittsburgh with Jeff Capel, there was still that level of success that you expected from the program. When we went away from the program, and this is just my own example, we went to Robert Burke, who's an assistant coming from America and had some Georgetown ties in as well. Didn't work out. Then we went back into the family with Jamie and Christian, got them back to the tournament a few more years. Dan Engelstad, he was assistant when I was at the Mount. He became head coach, got them back to the tournament as well. So sometimes keeping it in the family can work. But then there are moments where majority of the time it doesn't work. Because we're talking about Hubert Davis. Yeah, he got to the NCAA, he got to the championship game in 2022. But I went back and I looked at his numbers and how they performed. Didn't win the ACC but one time, and that was in 2024. Every other moment, he was either in seventh or at least one of the top four in the conference. And usually Duke or Clemson were winning the conference at that time. Now, we get into his runs of the tournament. Yeah, runner-up in the championship game. Made it to the Sweet 16 in 2024. Other than that, declined the invitation to the NIT and was out after the first weekend. So he has not had that modicum of success that you expect from a UNC coach to prepare their program for, getting close to the tournament time and what Tar Heel fans expect out of the program. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about, legacy fans. I don't know who's more worse, them or Kentucky at this point, because they're expecting championships and they have not produced programs that have been able to get to that championship level. So I think if I'm looking at it from the outside looking at it, I think it's time for programs like Syracuse and Carolina to go outside of the family when it's in terms of looking for these head coaches. But Syracuse is staying within it because you said they hired Jerry McNamara. So we'll see where that goes. But I think the keeping it in the family model is starting to run its course.
All right, Will, I'm gonna go to you because it's personal. Will went to high school at a legacy school. He went to Springbrook High School. A lot of legend coaches, and he played for an outsider who was outside the family. And throughout Will's time, Will was reminded quite frequently that his coach wasn't from Springbrook. So what do you think about inside or outside the family? And again, you live this, so the floor is yours, sir.
I think that if you're going to go outside of family, there has to be a coach who has an understand of the history, and I'll talk about you, coach, specifically. When you came in, you knew Treyon, you knew Dave Jones, you knew Marcus Taylors, you knew the guys who played before us. So there was a lot of familiarity, I would say, that when you started to coach us, it's like, oh, well, it's very close to him in terms of how he's coaching it. And I think they're trying to do that. McNamara, we'll see if that becomes, he's a decent coach. We'll see if he's big. It helps when you have money. It always helps when you have money. So we'll see. I'll be very interested, and there hasn't been a name that popped up in North Carolina. Jerry Stackhouse. And people haven't said nothing about Jerry Stackhouse for a long time. But he's a former alum. He's an NBA assistant right now. He's a coach right now. Why not bring him in if you had?
Did you see that Vanderbilt record? Because I did.
Well, that was almost 10 years ago. That was like 5 years
ago. You
ago.
call King Rice then?
I don't know. I don't know, Will. His coaching track record is not looking good right now, especially with the year against Vanderbilt.
I mean, I just like, I'm with y'all, but I think at the end of the day, if you're gonna bring somebody out from outside the family, they have to understand the history. They have to respect the history. It can't be like, who plays for him? What? Who? When? He's playing for us? Can't be that. Can't be. It can't just be Jordan and whoever I remember it. You have to have a very healthy understanding of the history. Because that then that's how you bring in the recruits, man. So you can't go, but just don't do it for just a fakeness, dude. He has to really be invested.
All right. Trey, you coached in the Big Five, and it's all family in there. And some of the schools, I think you went with someone who was familiar, who's like a cousin. So tell me what you think about keeping it in the family, sir.
Personally, I'm not a fan of keeping it in the family. And I think it's more so because our basketball's changing and evolving so much, and the fact that you want to keep it in the family may not always be the best thing for the school going forward. You know what I'm saying? So, like we were saying, so I wouldn't necessarily always want to keep things in the family. Honestly, right now, with how coaches are, coaches move all around the country just as much as these players are now. So, I feel like you got to go with what's hot. To me personally, also, one of the best coaches out there may not be a part of your school history, but if they can help you win, I don't really see any wrong with that. And I get it now. They don't have the same traditions. They're not going to follow the same traditions that all these previous coaches who were blue blood or in the same family traditions. But at the end of the day, if you really want to win, you got to give something up.
Yeah. Robert, close us out. When I coached, I am from a legacy school at Paint Branch High School. And we moved outside of the family and brought it back into the family and all of that. So I have an idea of that piece. But I did coach at a rival school. I coached at the equivalent at that time of a Cowboy Redskin type rivalry. And I went over. So, yeah, there was some saltiness at times, but I did have an idea and a respect and a reverence for the history of the program. So, any thoughts from you on keeping it in or out of the family? Final word, sir.
Well, in the end, I don't think it really makes. I don't know how much difference it really makes. You want a quality coach. You want a coach who can adapt to the time and space that we're in. You want a coach who can navigate NIL. You want a coach who understands what being a head coach in 2026 looks like, as opposed to, being one of Dean Smith's guys, being one of Roy Williams' guys. I mean, does it matter? Yeah, I mean, I think it does, but at the same time, Hubert suffered from, the biggest thing Hubert Davis suffered from was being the guy who followed the guy. Same thing with Red Autry. If you're the guy who follows the guy, it's tough. That being said, I grew up in a 2 high school town. I don't know what it's like now because I moved away more than 30 years ago. But what I can tell you is that when I was there, there was no love lost between the two schools. And I always said during my entire time working and living in New Mexico that there was one school in the entire state that I would never work at, and that was West Las Vegas. And there's no way I'd ever work there. And to this day, if anybody asks me, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do tonight? What are we doing this afternoon? The answer is always beat the Dons.
Yeah. I will close because everyone has good points, but it is 2026. And it's coaching in itself is already hard. And it's one of the reasons why we're doing organizational independent research at CKA on coaching now. And NIL is different. Transfer portal is different. But it is something to be said about teaching a certain way. And Howard University's coach Kenny Blakeney played at DeMatha and he played at Duke. And he had mentioned in a recent interview about it was easy to follow culture because it was established. You just do what the person in front of you did, but building your own culture is something special. And if he ever did leave Howard, I don't know if somebody else could come in and it worked that way. I miss being built up to being the next guy. So that's just me. So when we get back in segment 2, the portal is about to be open, and we're going to jump with Trey first on this one. We're going to talk about the portal being open. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast and segment 2, the great liberation, breaking the shackles of amateurism. So the 2026 NCAA Division I men's and women's transfer portal opens April 7th, the day after the national championship game. And this year, the portal features a shortened window, 15 days, closing on April 21st. Players can only enter the portal during this period or within 15 days of a coaching change. And let's just say there's going to be a couple of coaching changes. So with that, you don't have to sit out anymore. The mandatory one-year residency, gone. A lot of lost court cases on that. So no more one-time transfer, and there's a whole lot of everything going on with this. So I want to go to Trey first because, again, he just got out. Any thoughts on the transfer portal and the adjustments being made to it now that it's down to one window in 15 days? What are you thinking, Trey?
I honestly still think it's going to be like the Wild Wild West. Still going to be so much going on, so much uncertainty and so much people being all over the place because now that you have a lot of coaches and stuff changes at the same time too, it's kind of hard because like now, do I want to go to this school? I don't know who this coach, who are going to be next coach and like things like that. So I feel like it's hard and it puts more pressure on the athletes now to make a decision quicker. But
Yeah.
I think it can go either way, honestly, though.
Okay.
Just depends on how you look at it.
Danny, as somebody who couldn't leave without sitting out a year, what do you think about the adjustments being made now?
I mean, I'm all for it because as we're seeing a lot of coaches just up and leaving out of nowhere. I mean, lo and behold, look at Will Wade. He just left after 1 year at NC State. He's going right back to LSU.
Side note, Danny, I hope NC State is as petty as Mike King on that one and go to court and get an injunction and all that. Please, just follow it all the way through. They won't. Mm-hmm. But again, you brought it up, Danny, so go be King Petty and make them pay back some money or something. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. But it's almost like it's good for the players. But the thing is, like Trey said, it puts a lot of pressure on the players to make their decisions. Because again, I thought I was thinking about transferring at one point after Coach Brown left. But again, it was different because I'm not gonna say it's different. I know for me, I had a circle around who helped me make a better decision to stay. One that was basically on academics because Coach Keith, you'll appreciate it. I had 2 more years left to finish up. So I was like, I'm not going to finish off my degree at this point. So there's no point in transferring because that means I have to leave and start all over. That makes no sense. But nowadays it's different because now players are, there's money involved now with NIL deals, and they could be like, look, this school could offer me more money than what you're offering me, so I can leave and go there. But they're also looking at it from a standpoint, am I going to have success when I go for this program? They don't know. So they have to iron out so many more decisions and questions in their mind than what I had to think about when I was playing. So it's a different landscape nowadays. It is now players have to really, really sit down and make a very conscious decision to transfer and enter the portal.
Yeah. Now, Will, I'm coming to you because your team utilizes the portal very well. So is St. John's ready to go shopping? How do you feel about this? Because one of the things our panelist, Mike King, just talks about, and he's not polite about it, is he grew up at a time where you can kind of see the guys grow up, and he's a Maryland alum, and Juan Dixon played 4 years, and I knew these guys. And now every year you need a scorecard to know who's on your team. So from somebody who follows a team that every year you need a scorecard to see who's on your team, what do you think about it?
I mean, I like the model. I like the model, but I like it when coaches are just truthful about what they are. Pitino told her, he was like, we're not recruiting freshmen. Strictly, I'm in the transfer portal. I'm strictly looking for older guys to help me do what I got to do. And that's the identity that you create. And you've seen it in other facets, you know what I'm saying? Indiana. Everybody in Indiana is 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? So you see all these schools. So if you're not going to be one of those guys that's, in a great, I would say, blue blood or tradition where you can bring in all-American talent every year, the Dukes, the Kentuckys, UConns, teams like that, then the only way you're going to even the playing field is when you go in the portal. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You still have to know who you are. You have to know your culture. But that at least kind of evens the balance, because immediately a team that was terrible for the last 20 years, St. John's, couldn't recruit in New York, couldn't recruit in New Jersey, couldn't recruit anywhere. And that we couldn't even compete with Syracuse when they used to be in the Big East. You couldn't be with UConn, had no chance. But now it's like, okay, well, now we have the money, and now we have an idea, and we can now, in the last 2 years, since we've kind of taken that identity, it's flourished. You know what I'm saying? That's a success story. I know there's not a lot. There's other teams that haven't been that lucky, but the business works. So I'm a fan. I think it works. You still have to be a good coach. You still have to know who your team are. You can't just let any bumhos on your team, any convict on your team. You can't be that kind of person. You do that, but even the playing field, man. And I think it's another reason why I'm pretty sure why Illinois is where they're at right now, and why Reloaded Michigan did, because people don't remember. Juwan Howard was just a coach, like 2-3 years ago? Maybe I'm just forgetting. Yeah, they reloaded immediately because they went right in the portal, right in the NIL.
And they went out of the family tree.
Yeah, so it's just an opportunity, but you still need to be a good coach.
All right, Robert. We're not old men get off our lawns with this, are we? What are we thinking about the portal?
I'm always an old man telling people to get off my lawn, man. I am still a fan of, guys who stay at schools and, coaches who build programs, and that I want to see that. That being said, that is not our current landscape. That's we're not going to see a whole lot of that anymore. I think that the one thing I will say about this with the portal is that you're going to have a bunch of players jumping in who are not getting good advice, if they're getting any advice at all, and are going to be left out to dry, right? We also know, and Trey probably can speak more to this than we can, but we also know that the recruiting strategy for coaches, with the portal the way it is right now, changes, because if you're looking for help, you're looking for mid-major Power 4 transfers. You're not looking at high school kids. Nobody's looking at high school kids. If you're a high school kid and you're not, I don't know, top 25, your best bet is to find a place where you're going to be on the floor and playing so that people see you wherever that is. And it doesn't matter in this day and age, because you can go to a D2 or D3 program, and if you can play, people are going to see you. So that's going to be, that's something that schools have to figure out as well. So I think that what we're going to see is yes, you can have schools that reload immediately, but I think the schools that are going to be more successful long-term in this type of setting are going to be schools that have a strategy when they approach the portal in terms of what they're looking for, what kind of player they want, what kind of person they want, and who they will take from the portal.
Oh, preach it. Trey, before we leave, I do want to ask you to follow up on Robert's comments. Any advice you want to give to high school players or players who are thinking, maybe I should put my name out in the portal as somebody who just left this? Any advice you have for potential portal players?
One of the biggest things I tell kids nowadays who are, like I said, going to college now, is just find a place that fits you. Don't go to school because of the name. Don't go to school because the history. Go to a school that's going to fit you. That's going to fit you how you play as a player, and just little things like that. I know I see this a lot. A lot of kids going to college, even like the high recruiting guys, go to schools because of the names, but then you get there, it doesn't really fit your game. And so that's one of the big things I tell kids, is just be smart about where you go and who's in your circle, about what schools and things like that you're going to. Because I know a lot of times nowadays, all these agents and people like that really just only here for the money. And so, which hurts the kids at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, all these agents want you to put you in a school that's going to give you the most money, so they get a lot of money too. So, just little things, just find something that fits you. And it's okay to go D2, it's okay to go D3, because at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, regardless of whatever level you're on. And I like to tell kids is nowadays, basketball's the same. And if you've been around kids who are D2, Division 3 level, there's a lot of those kids who could probably play Division 1 basketball. They just either don't have the size, never got the opportunities to get seen like that. But it's the same basketball at the end of the day.
All right. And if you are interested, the CKA Saves Project has transfer portal navigation services as well as NIL assistance. Go to our website, cksaveproject.org. Click our services menu for more information. And when we get back in segment 3, we'll talk about the NBA and we'll talk about the WNBA. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA Save Project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA Save Project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.cksaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 3, NBA Week in Review. Okay. Eastern Conference won Pistons, but they lost Kate Cunningham. We'll see if the Celtics can catch them because they're 2. Knicks are 3, Cavs are 4, Hawks are 5, and they're still on fire. And the Raptors are 6 in the play-in. We've got the Heat, the Sixers, the Magic, and the Hornets. Hornets are still winning some games, but that's a lot of losing they did at the beginning of the season. A lot of rebound. Bulls, Bucks. That Giannis thing is not going to end well. Nets, Wizards. You know, the Wizards give you a $250 Big Mac for every win. Haven't had a lot of Big Macs this year. And the Indiana Pacers. Hottest teams, Hawks and the Pistons, even without Kate Cunningham. In the West, OKC is 1. Spurs are 2. Wemby's doing some dangerous things. 3, the Lakers. They might be the 3rd seed, and we might have to talk about them. So I'm hoping the Nuggets stay 6. 4, the Wolves. 5, Rockets, and 6, Nuggets. Play-in, Suns, Warriors, Blazers, and Clippers. Lottery bound, Memphis, Dallas, Utah. Utah, y'all, That's wrong what y'all doing. Okay, that's just criminal what you guys are doing. Sacramento and New Orleans, hottest teams: Spurs, OKC, and the Lakers. All right, Danny, I'm gonna start with you. A lot of things going on in the league. We've got Adam Silver having a war on tanking. We've got all types of proposals for tanking. We've got the 65 game crisis with the players wanting the 65 game rule overturned. Anything you want to talk about with the NBA this week? The floor is yours, sir.
I mean, I was looking into the 65 game rule for a minute, but then the talk of them trying to stop the tanking nonsense, and I said this in the beginning of the season. I don't care what you do, teams are going to find a way around it and still find a way to tank. I don't care what proposal you come up with. I don't care what rule change you got to make. It does not matter. What they'll say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So at some point, some of these teams are going to find a way to get around these proposals that they're trying to institute or trying to, I guess, introduce to stop tanking. You're not stopping tanking because everyone is going to find a way around. They're going to find a loophole in these rules, in these proposals. Say, you know what? We're still going to find a way to get a high draft pick. We're still going to try to find a way to make it easier for ourselves to go after, a top draft prospect. But because to be honest with you, this whole talk of tanking is because of how much talent is in this year's draft class. I mean, we're talking about top 6, top 7 are freshmen who, as we've seen in the tournament, I mean, despite not having a guy who doesn't know time and score, there are a lot of young guys coming into the league from this year's draft class who we're looking at as they can be very good for their team depending on where they go. Because at first, no one was talking about taking. No one gave any sort of credence to the tanking conversation.
And they've been taking since you and the rigged.
The rigged lotteries. So this whole thing is just nonsense. I don't know why we keep trying to bring it back up when the top draft classes come around. So let it go. Y'all haven't found a proposal to fix it. You won't find one now.
All right, Catman, out of all the stories going on in the league right now in the NBA, which one's caught your eye?
Oh, I like the tanking. I like tanking. I mean, it's not a absolute solution. It's not something that we're gonna figure out and be like, we got it. This is what it is. I do like the idea of locking in your odds after the All-Star game. That way, saying whether you're tanking or not, you can't get any better or any worse. This is where it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? It makes it a lot easier for me to spot the kind of nefarious kind of things, like benching guys and not starting guys. And then it's going to start messing with contract stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm benching guys. Oh, well, that's, I have to hit these minutes and all of a sudden you're tanking all this stuff. I think once you lock that, I mean, I think that'll kind of mitigate it a little bit. Like Danny said, they're always going to find ways to kind of go around and do what they got to do, but don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. At the end of the day, if you want to be a bad team and you want to tank and be terrible, and nobody want to watch you, we won't. Trust me. As long as you're not like the Lakers who get games all the time, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to be a bum team, go be a bum team, dog. We're going to laugh about you. We're going to talk about you because even if you do get those draft picks, even if you do get look at the Sixers. What have they done with all those tanking they did? Nothing. Look at
the process, Will.
They're still trusting it. They're still trusting this 15-year process.
Yeah, that process is gonna go.
Yeah, I'm like they barely have. They have like 3/4 of Embiid. They have nobody else that they pick up. They don't have Markelle Fultz no more. They got Simmons gone. Nothing else on this team. It's not an imperfect science. I don't know why they think that it's like, oh, I'm gonna become better. Utah, they tanked for like 3 years and they got the guys they want. They're still bad and they have good players. They have legit like guys who can ball. So for me, it's like if you're tanking, you just like you're giving up. It's like and what are you giving up to take the next 18-year-old, 19-year-old and wish that he's the next LeBron? Or what kind of plan is that? That's not a plan at all. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I just, I'm just not, I don't believe in this nonsense because there's not a team that I could think of that tanked all the way and won the finals. I can't think of one. Not one. So I don't understand how that became a popular thing. I just don't understand it.
All right, Trey, out of all the things going on in the NBA, what has caught your eyes, sir?
I'm gonna pick up where Will left off because I liked what he was talking about. Because honestly, I feel as though you can take all you want, it's not gonna help you out at the end of the day. Just because you're gonna go get the next 18, 19, 20-year-old kid thinking he's gonna be the one. And I don't think a lot of these coaches realize that all of these young guys, they're not helping out. That's not benefiting, like you said, that's not benefiting anybody at the end of the day. Utah has a lot of talent, but do all those guys know how to play together? Do they have a vet in there to mix it up with all of these young guys? Probably
And
not.
as soon as they can get their contract, they're getting out of Salt Lake City. I'm telling you
Yes.
that.
Correct.
They're leaving.
And the whole Ace Bailey situation where he didn't want to go to Utah, I'm just like, at the end of the day, just go where they put you or go with where it takes you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like him going to Utah, what is he doing? I haven't heard anything about him this whole season.
Me neither.
Nothing.
None of it.
When I look at Utah, I think of Keontae George as their man. That's their guy when I think of Utah. I don't hear nothing about Ace Bailey. I don't hear nothing about Isaiah Collier. I don't hear nothing about Walker Kessler or the other big kid. I don't hear nothing about anybody in Utah. So tanking is just gonna, like Will said, it's just gonna make you even more of a worse of a program or anything like that. So it's on you. If you want to tank, you can tank, but you'll lose money, you'll lose ticket sales, and at the end of the day, you're gonna hurt yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, they're about to add 2 teams, so they're gonna lose that much. Robert, out of all the stories in the NBA this past week, which one's caught your eye? 65 game club, tanking. What's on your menu?
I'm going to get away from tanking. Let's talk a little bit about the Western Conference because you said you didn't want to talk about them, but the Lakers are third.
Third. They are
They are
third.
third.
He's a hooper right now.
Apparently, a couple of things have happened. Number one, Luka's just good.
Yeah.
Let's just say that Luka's just good. And number two, apparently they have started to figure out some of their defensive stuff that was an issue previously. It doesn't mean it won't rear its head in the playoffs because Luka still has to guard somebody. And then as you get deeper in the playoffs, that's going to get a little more challenging in terms of who he has to guard. But the Lakers are third, and it's interesting because you have, we've talked all along, or at least I have, about Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets. Well, the Nuggets right now are sitting fourth. They've dropped as low as sixth. All three, 3 through 6, there's 3.5 games between them, so anything can happen. But the Spurs and the Thunder have kind of separated themselves, and I think that I felt like the Nuggets, with Jokic, that was probably the biggest threat. And there were 3 teams in the West, but now I kind of feel like there's the Thunder and the Spurs and everybody else. And I'm not sure. I mean, right now the Thunder are first and the Spurs are second. I'm not sure there's any real benefit to being 1 or 2. I don't know if that one extra home game in a series means all that much with these 2 teams. One thing is clear. The Spurs have the tiebreaker on the Thunder. They are not afraid of the Thunder.
No,
They are not. They ain't scared. And and Wemby is, man, those guys they're scary. They're scary.
All right. So one thing with the WNBA, and I want Danny to kind of wrap this up for everyone. The WNBA season will now extend as late as November 21st and as late as November 30th in Olympic seasons. And that's going to cause a slight problem because the schedule is expanding from 44 games to 50 games by 2027 and 52 games by 2029, driven by the league expansion to 18 teams, including Toronto and Portland. So yeah, they got more money. Yeah, they got all of these things. But Danny, I want you to kind of let me know your thoughts on this. Remember, some of these ladies still go play in Europe, and you're starting to bleed into the European calendar, and you're really bleeding into this thing called football. What are you thinking about that now that the deal's done and you're seeing the remnants of this is the reverb of the deal? What do you think?
I mean, we're saying somehow is bleeding into the European calendar. It's bleeding into the football calendar. It's also bleeding into the calendar of the NBA. Because if you're talking about going into the late November part of the calendar, I mean, that's the beginning of the NBA season. So I don't know how that's going to match up. But as far as they're talking about with, the overseas aspect of it, now players have to wonder, and especially with these new contracts they're going to start getting, is it going to be worth leaving to go play overseas for a few months and then come back? I don't think it's going to change much. I think the star players will find a way to stay here, especially now they're going to be getting more lucrative deals because of the new CBA. But again, this whole playing most of the games, you still got to remember, they're adding Toronto and Portland this year. They still got to add Philly, and they still got to add Cleveland. So we don't know what's going to happen between now and getting close to 2029, 2030. Because that's when the last of the expansion teams before will come in. Mind you, they still got to find a way to, get things right because the Connecticut Sun just sold their team to the Fertittas down in Houston. So we don't know if that's going to bring back
the Comets, baby.
Bring back the Comets.
That's what it looks like it's doing. So it's a lot to think about, Ryan, especially with players, especially now with them rushing into all this because the expansion draft is literally this Friday, is this weekend, April 3rd. So they're going to have to try to bleed all this in and try to figure this thing out because if you're still thinking about making money as far as going into late November, like I said, that's bleeding into the NFL calendar, that's bleeding into the college football calendar, that's bleeding into the college basketball calendar, and that's bleeding into the NBA calendar. So if they're talking about trying to make this thing work, they better find a way to make the scheduling a little bit more easier because that's going to be a lot to think about, especially with them in this new revenue sharing model that they're going with. They better get this thing figured out quick because sooner or later, as we look up, it's going to be 2029.
All right, so
figured out.
Cotton Man, you're my regular guy. You just click the channels. You watching WNBA in October and November?
Maybe like early Thursday, maybe like a 4:30, 5 o'clock call. I mean, there's spots. I mean, let me look. There's spots. Are they sexy spots? No, they're not the best spots. You're not gonna get Thursday nights. You're not gonna get Fridays. There is a spot for Friday night. You can kind of try and double up with the NBA if you want to do like a partner thing.
But you got your college football Friday night stuff.
Not strong. A lot of ACC stuff, weak ACC stuff, MAC stuff. You can get away with stuff like that. If you really want to get jiggy, you can really promo hard for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's an opportunity for you. There's gambling, so people will definitely watch. We're in the mode, so people are definitely looking down. They're like, man, I just watched football on Monday. Now I need something to get me Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't want to hang out with my wife. I just want to watch something. It's an option. It's an option. But it has to be packaged because as we remember last year, there were primetime matchups with WNBA, and we didn't know they were even happening. There was games where Dallas versus Vegas. We didn't know about that game was happening until it was like a Tuesday night or something like that. It was terrible.
So I do want to go to Robert with this and say there's also something going on in October that even got my attention, and especially if that team in Los Angeles is playing. The World Series is around that time too. Are they playing with fire, Robert, with this new schedule? What do you think?
I mean, they can't switch. They're not in a position. They can't switch seasons. They are where they are. And if they're going to lengthen it because you're adding teams, okay. I mean, that makes sense. But but they're going to have to do a way better job of promoting themselves and getting, making people aware of, if you have a big game on a Tuesday night, if you have Seattle and Vegas on a Tuesday night,
It better not be on Ion.
people need to know that, and you got to have your A broadcast team on it, and it's got to be on ESPN or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they have to figure that out, and they have not been able to do that to this point.
Yeah.
We talk all the time, we make fun of them all the time about how crappy a job they do of promoting themselves. And they have to do better, because if they don't do better, this obviously isn't going to work. They will get to the start of, they'll get to week 0 in college football, and basically viewership and people's attention will drop off a cliff.
All right. Trey closes out as the youngest member of the panel with the most free time, whatever that is. What do you think about their moves to just creeping into now mid to late November? What does that look like from your perspective?
I mean, first of all, I respect what they're trying to do because they do want to grow the business. They want to make it more publicized. So I respect them with that. But I think they have to do a better way, like Rob was telling about, of promoting everything that they want to do. But honestly, I like watching females basketball. I like watching WNBA. Love watching women's college basketball. So I'm a hooper. So whether I'm gonna watch it regardless, but I never.
But
do
as a former
see it.
coach, in the middle of November, you got NBA's playing. You got college basketball, men's and women's. If Juju's back, are you watching Juju or the Connecticut / Houston, whatever?
Definitely Juju for sure.
You've got the World Series, which gets a novice baseball person like me involved. And you got the big bad booty daddy of the NFL creeping in on Wednesday. The NFL playing on Wednesdays now. What are y'all?
Yeah.
So, good luck with that, man.
I would try at least. I would try.
I hope it works out. All right. So as we close, the Final Fours in Indianapolis and the CK Save Project and the Odd Coaches podcast will be there. Look for me in CKA or OCP gear, along with the intern extraordinaire. 0.5 will be with me. We'll be at the NABC Mentor Circle. We'll be at the Black Coaches Association meeting. We'll be all around the marketplace. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody. I'm sorry, my buddy Robert's not there with me to enjoy a beverage or two and have people entertained with us watching basketball, which actually did happen. So on behalf of our Cavalcade Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Our Coaches Podcast, the global authority of coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines in Indy. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.